to last.
The Nashville Cats are back with fun football action this spring. The Cats take on the Oregon Lightning this Friday night at Municipal Auditorium. Kickoff is at 6:30. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Again, everybody, welcome in on a Friday where it's not raining. What a novel concept. Man, does our city need a break for about 24 to 36 hours. And all I can tell you is this: the forecast for tomorrow night late is a lot more of this. So about the time you're trying to enjoy the Final Four, pay very close attention to what's going on weather-wise. Now, you can probably tell that we're not at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, and in fact, we're at the Municipal Auditorium where the Cats will play the Oregon Lightning tonight at 6:30. Billy Derrick is alongside. You'll see him here in just a matter of seconds. Hello, Billy.
Hello.
So this facility was built in 1962. And the deal is that what I remember, because I was just a little pup, is that Nashville had made the decision to go with a metropolitan government, and the first mayor was Beverly Briley. This thing was built, and back in 1962, this was probably state-of-the-art kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you didn't have such a thing as luxury suites and all that kind of stuff. It seats, I want to say, about 8,500. And it has, over the years, played host. Probably its, you know, most long-standing tenant was the old Nashville Dixie Flyers, the hockey team. Then, gosh, it was the Nashville Knights. Larry Schmittou had a minor league team in here in the early 80s. So it's played host to a lot of hockey. It now is playing host to some arena football. And if you look around, the Rolling Stones have played in here. When I was in college, Elton John played in here. Because back then, we didn't have a Bridgestone Arena. Bridgestone Arena did not come into existence until the mid-90s. So
this was the only place in town.
This was it. Then Larry Schmittou brought the Sounds in 1978 into existence. And until then, really the only thing we had that really was of much note was Vanderbilt basketball at Memorial Gym.
Yeah.
So
man, different times.
Yeah. So I trust you have an update with some level of something.
Yeah, we've got some substance today. And as always, it's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Well, I want to start in the NBA. We talked about Ja Morant showing off an imaginary gun. Well, the NBA has decided to fine him $75,000. And if you look back at his two suspensions in 2023 cost him $8.3 million in salary. And he came out and said, in quote, "I'm kind of used to it. I was pretty much a villain for 2 years now. Every little thing, if somebody can say something negative about me, it's going to be out there. So, yeah, I don't care."
Ja Morant is an incredible talent. And, of course, he hit the game winner last night in their victory in Miami against the Heat. I happened to see the last minute of it. But the thumbing your nose at Adam Silver, which is what he basically did. He had been warned earlier in the day. He'd been given a league warning. And so what does he do 4 minutes into the game? You know, he decides to do the gun thing again. Ja Morant, somebody needs to get into his life who can talk some real sense into it. I'm not saying that he's blowing it, but you worry that at some point he might blow it.
Well, we thought that was going to happen after a couple years ago. And now, here we are a couple years later. He's doing pretty much not the same thing, but, I mean, he can't do what he's been doing.
No, and I don't, he's got to be smarter than this. And I don't know a lot about the people that are around him. His father seems to be present everywhere, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's clear that he's not the one that's been able to get through to him.
Well, I heard that some of his teammates did the same sort of stuff, similar hand gestures, so I don't know what particularly is going on in Memphis.
Well, I think it's a franchise right now in some turmoil.
Yeah.
They've fired Jenkins, the head coach.
Yeah.
They're going to make the playoffs, but it doesn't feel like they're going anywhere when they do, which is a shame because I think they've got some talent.
Well, it does feel like Auburn's going somewhere. They will play Florida tomorrow in the Final Four, approximately a 5:09 start time there in San Antonio. Bruce Pearl and Rick Pitino have shared the AP Coach of the Year honors, and this is the first ever tie between two coaches for the AP Coach of the Year. That's a little surprising. But
well, really
not the fact that there's been that they won it, but the fact there's been a tie.
Well, what it all means is that they both ended up getting the same number of votes. And the truth of it is, you could make a claim each season that there are probably 5 or 6 coaches around the country that do Coach of the Year kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And both of those guys, I mean, what Pitino has done at St. John's, regardless of what went on at the very end with the R.J. Lewis deal where he didn't play him in the final 4 minutes.
Right.
Regardless of that, I think we all know once and for all, Rick Pitino's a hell of a coach. Now, what level of behavior does he display over the years?
Maybe not the best.
Maybe not.
For the players.
Maybe not.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg is your AP Player of the Year. He is just the 4th freshman to win that award. Do you know the other 3? A little early stat of the day.
Ooh. It takes some time to think about it, so why don't you lay it on me?
Zion Williamson.
Okay.
Kevin Durant in 2007 at Texas, and then Anthony Davis at Kentucky.
Yeah.
So pretty high cotton for Cooper Flagg. No surprise. He thought there maybe was a chance with Janai Baroum, just the way he played, but obviously Cooper Flagg was the winner there. Also locally here in Nashville, Vandy transfer Jason Edwards, who entered the portal. He has landed at Providence. So Edwards headed to the Big East from the SEC.
Time out just a second.
Okay.
Look who the cat drug in here. Eli Gold on the scene.
Live in action.
I hope we have him on here sometime soon. That's a good man right there.
Absolutely.
He is one funny human being. Love him.
And apparently, we talked about Jalen Carey entering the portal. Apparently, there's mutual interest between him and Tennessee.
Oh, I could see that because he had a monster game against them.
He did.
Here, Vandy doesn't win that game that day without Carey. By the way, Edwards, I'm told, asked for a cool $1 million. And maybe didn't get the answer he was looking for.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Tennessee, Jacoby Gillespie, the Maryland point guard, has committed to Tennessee. So Gillespie headed to Tennessee, play for the Vols. He's actually from Greenbrier, Tennessee, so no surprise. Also in baseball, Chase Dolander, former Tennessee pitcher, is expected to make his major league debut for the Rockies against the A's on Sunday. So
really,
fairly quick call-up for for Mr. Chase.
How long's he been on the minors on the minor league level?
A couple years. I think he was banged up. He was doing some arm recovery early on, right after he was drafted. But Chase Dolander making his MLB debut for the Rockies on Sunday. Speaking of baseball, the Braves hosting the Marlins tonight. Spencer Schwellenbach is on the mound.
Spencer Schwellenbach has become something they had no right to expect. I mean, under the category of, right now it's easy to dump on them. They're 0-7. It looks bad. It feels bad. But a year ago, this kid came out of the University of Nebraska. He was a shortstop with a great arm. And until Spencer Strider gets back, this kid's become their ace. And by the way, Strider pitches tonight against the Sounds in Gwinnett.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
Might need him back here sooner rather than later. Got some good college baseball, especially in the SEC tonight at 5:30, just 30 minutes after we get off the air. It'll be Vanderbilt at Florida in game one of that series. Some good weather down there expected in Gainesville, so Vanderbilt getting out of the bad weather. They'd probably be playing tonight anyway if it was at Hawkins Field because of the turf. But they'll start that series tonight. And then at 6, number 1 Tennessee hosting a struggling Texas A&M bunch. That'll be on ESPNU. So we got
Is A&M still winless in the league?
They are, I want to say 1-7. They've got one win in the conference so far. But I mean, you look back, this is a rematch of the national championship series from last year. And
oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, Tennessee is your number 1 team in the country. A&M unranked, and they're 1-8 in the SEC. You've also got the Iron Bowl of baseball tonight. Number 8 Alabama at number 17 Auburn. That'll start at 6. And look at these ranked matchups.
Do you think there's not some catcalling that goes on there? Because baseball, you're a lot closer to the players than you would be in football and maybe in basketball. Smaller crowds. I bet that the amount of
that's going to be juiced up
that the Alabama kids take from that Auburn crowd. Well, holy cow!
And it's been a while since those two teams have been this good at baseball.
Yeah, I mean, they're both one's ranked 8th and the other's 17th.
Yeah, and then also at 6:30, number 3 Georgia in Austin to play number 5 Texas. That's another top 10 matchup, and then yet another one, game 2 of this series, number 6 LSU at number 9 Oklahoma. LSU took the series. Took game 1 last night. LSU has a pitcher, Cade Anderson, last night in the 2-0 win for LSU. 14 strikeouts, and he threw 135 pitches last night. So not too bad for the LSU pitcher. So that's what you got.
So how many SEC teams right now are in the top 25 in baseball?
Well, you've got.
I know it's a bunch of them.
I know you've got like 7 or 8 in the top 10.
Yeah.
So you've got a ridiculous amount in the top 10.
Pretty amazing.
And I don't know in the top 25, but it's most of it. It's most of the top 25.
Feels just like hoops.
Yeah. And then you've also got the women's Final Four getting underway tonight. 6 o'clock, Texas and South Carolina. And then at 8, UCLA and Gino Auriemma's UConn team.
Big controversy. The final is Sunday at like 2 o'clock Nashville time. And there's a lot of why isn't it in prime time? Because a year ago when Caitlin Clark exploded onto the scene, the final game, I think I'm right about this, the final game outdrew, her title game outdrew any men's game the entire year.
Wow.
How about that one?
With Juju Watkins going down, that hurts them a lot. I mean, you got Paige Beckers at UConn, but really Watkins was their Caitlin Clark this year. So that's what you got in the women's Final Four tonight. And that's what I got.
We done?
Yeah.
Okay, after the break, we will come back to the Municipal Auditorium and talk with a guy we've talked to at least once or twice in the past. Former Titans head coach and now Nashville Cats owner Jeff Fisher from the Municipal Auditorium. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Hey, it's Jake Lyman. The Nashville Cats are back inside Municipal Auditorium on Friday night taking on the Oregon Lightning. I'll have your call alongside Big Joe Dubin. Pregame at 6, kickoff at 6:30.
93.3 FM. Totally hits. Totally Nashville.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Over the years, this guy and I have done a lot of interviews, but I don't think we've ever talked about weather. Well, no, that's not totally true, because when you had your softball game, I accused you of cutting a deal with God to move a system away from the ballpark.
Yes, you did, and we did. And I had a connection.
Oh,
it was whether it was softball or it was we're going to have a scrimmage or whatever it was. I had a connection. I had a pretty good idea what was going on. But now, keeping track of this, Mother Nature's in a bad mood, and we're keeping our fingers crossed for everybody, the listening audience, and then anybody else, friends, family, everything, because tomorrow may be a repeat of what we had a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard, and our hearts go out to those that are affected, and over time, I don't want to say people take things for granted, because you've watched us over the years, George, get out there with the players and do tornado relief. And, back in the day, Steve McNair with a chainsaw in Clarksville, and, all that stuff. But we cannot forget about those that are affected, because I think, we see it on the news, and, someone lost their house and da-da-da, and we go, you feel bad for them, but okay, well, it's over. Do something for them, and that's kind of where we're at. So we're hoping that, this last round, as it's getting teed up tomorrow, is nothing like it was the last couple of days.
So I have been out to your farm. Shockingly, you've allowed that. So I know the area where it is. As I'm hearing all these different names, at 2:00 in the morning, your farm was one of the things I thought about. My buddy Mike Rhodes down in Perry County, which is basically mile marker 143. If Bellevue is 196, they're 143. And what he told me was that the stuff that devastated Selmer, and I didn't know there was a Selmer, Tennessee, until 2 days ago, devastated that community. It basically flew over his farm but never touched down. And so, you learn the difference between being devastated and nothing is luck and nothing else.
It is. You've got that those terrifying words, rotation or circulation or whatever it is, and the difference is it on the ground, or is it still suspended? And and that's where it gets tough, man, because we follow the weather as best we can with the resources that we have, but when it comes right down to it, when it's close, there's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to tell you to take cover, and you just can't take it for granted. I don't have really a place to escape to yet. I've been talking about it, putting some kind of cellar or something like that out there. I'm on mile marker 188, and over the years, we've been very, very fortunate. We're more affected by the flash flood type of thing, because we got drainage and creeks and things like that, and just nothing that you can't clean up. But it's just your hearts go out to these people that are affected, and we need to remember them. We need to go out and do what we can. We're talking about the next game, the next Cat game, which is 4 weeks away, a home game. We're gonna take some proceeds and donate it to some of these areas that were affected, because they need it. That's what they need. But let's keep our fingers crossed that tomorrow ends up being just a normal day. But the weather right now is not an indication that it's going to happen.
I told the story yesterday, April 16th, 1998. If I've done 10,000 of these probably without knowing the exact number, and that's one of the 5 I'll never forget, because I had to make a decision about 5 minutes before we went on the air. We were broadcasting. WTN was basically out of a bomb shelter out at Gaylord, and up the hill from us, the Gaylord corporate building had been destroyed, and we knew it. We knew as we were going on the air, and Willie had Houston Nuts scheduled. And I looked at Willie and I said, look, you got to call him back and tell him this isn't going to work. And we went 4 hours that day on the air, where what I would do, like the TV monitor you see right over here, we put the radar on. And when I would see something that I knew was bad, I would say, okay, it looks really bad in Spring Hill. If somebody will call me from there, tell me what's going on. And instantly, we did that for 4 hours that day.
You, Mr. Calling, You
Weather.
should have been a meteorologist.
I said that yesterday.
Did you? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Meet Billy Derrick, by
Hey,
the way.
Billy. How are
Billy
you?
Jeff
Good.
Fisher.
So, Billy, you probably not heard this story, but on that very day that he's talking about, we had a temporary facilities in Bellevue, and we were in a building, and we were in trailers, and not the ideal place for when the weather comes in. And so our draft board is all over the trailers in the building. So we've got our draft board set up, by position, best player to worst player, free agent. And we I don't want to go into detail what a draft board looks like, but I was concerned that thing was going to get sucked out the window. So I brought our video director in there and said, just record this just in case, because all of our work was on the board. At that time, nothing was as automated as it is now. And so we literally went in and videotaped our rankings by position. Fortunately, we didn't have any issues out there, but and nor did we have any place to see cover.
So since you brought that up, if you had ever allowed me in the draft room
like
on
Mike
draft
Gilbert?
day, yeah,
okay.
If you had done that, would I have been surprised at what it looked like?
No, I don't believe so. I think you got a pretty good idea. You got a room that's split in half, and you duplicate your position groups, and you at the far left of a room, way up on top of the wall, you've got a magnetic card that goes onto a magnetic board, and you got your top quarterback in this year's draft, and then you just list those quarterbacks, and then you draw horizontal lines, and those horizontal lines are they're indicative of the round. So listed on your board, and where do you project he's either going to go, or where are you going to take him?
So who all's allowed in there? Obviously the owner, and we'll have some fun here. Well, yes. So he's in there.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, but pretty much would stay in Houston. He might come in the next day or something like that. But yeah,
Okay.
he wasn't in for a lot of them. No, but I mean, I've been other places. I mean, other places where, well, I'll tell you a story. I was with the 49ers during a draft, and they had a situation there, ongoing deal with on day 2 of the draft, where Carmen Policy, the president, got to make a selection in day 2. So it was either the 9th or 10th, or might have been the 12th selection of the draft, but he got to pick the player. And he knew nothing about it. And so he would just go up there, and they'd pick that player, and then here's a guy we're going to take, and then you turn it in. And I remember I was there in 92, 93, and he went up and he pulled Elvis Gerbach's name off the wall, quarterback at Michigan, because he thought it was cool. Carmen thought it was really cool because he had one vowel in his last name. And that's why he took him.
Turned
ended
out
up being a good player.
No, he turned out to be a really good player.
Yeah.
So
back
you
to
were
who's
an
in it.
assistant,
I mean, back to who's in the room.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you were an assistant,
Yeah.
were you in the room?
Well, it depended on the organizational philosophy. I mean, you got a big room and you got plenty of space. Yeah, but you typically you wait outside, and you would come in when you were asked to come in to talk about a potential player that they've got on the board, because they're 3 picks away. They want to hear your report once again, or your opinion. And we basically, as a rule, we keep the coordinators in there, and if you had an assistant head coach, the trainers are in there, the doctors are in there, and then all the scouts and the GM and the directors and assistant directors. And then if you need the position position coach to come in and talk about. And oftentimes, say we've identified the defensive line as the position in which we'll want to take in the next round. You bring your defensive line coach in there, and you put 2 or 3 of the guys that you're considering, the guys that he had seen, and ask his final opinion on it. And the most important thing, when you got people in the room, is that once the pick is made, that it's everybody's pick, and you're unanimous on the pick, and everybody's agreeing to it, and you're clapping and celebrating, even if you disagree, or even if you're disappointed. And there's, you just can't. You'll have 4 or 5 guys on the board that you absolutely would love to take. You can only take one. And I remember back when I was with the Rams, we had a player by the name of Bobby Wagner, and we
turned out pretty good, didn't he?
Because of need, we had to go a different direction, and it really didn't work out. The player we selected lasted a couple of years, and I think Bobby's still freaking playing right now. So
he may ask you to do his speech in camp.
I might do that. Yeah, I knew you were going to be that good. Yeah,
that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
Coach Jeff Fisher, former Titans head coach, with us at our broadcast site. What would you do with a guy like Travis Hunter, who has, incredible skills on both sides of the ball? And it sounds like he wants to try to go both sides. But now here's Jeff Fisher, and it's not your first rodeo, and you're in there with him. And are you having to tell him at some point, look, in the NFL, if you go past a certain number of plays, there's a law of diminishing returns? I guess I'm asking, is there?
Yeah, it's really difficult at the NFL level to go out and play 60 plays, let alone play plays on both sides of the ball. And so if that's what you're referring to, guys have to build up to that. The linemen, D linemen, guys, and it really depends on, on where they've come from, their condition level, and their expertise. But, there's a certain amount of plays where there becomes a diminishing return after that. So
I'm trying to think, with the Titans, did you ever have a defensive player that you had a package of plays for offensively?
No, well, I mean, we may have done something with Adam, with Pac-Man Jones. Considered that, just getting the ball in his hands, and send him in there. But everybody knows once he goes on there that, things are different. You're not going to pick it up and throw. He's not going to, if he's at the running back position, he's not going to be in protection. He doesn't know who to block, and he's going to get the ball, or he ends up being a decoy. But, no, I really never did that per se. I mean, tempted it sometimes to put 2 quarterbacks in the game, or, the wildcat type of thing that we've seen over the years, where you get a wildcat quarterback in, and, he comes in, sometimes he plays quarterback, sometimes he plays receiver, but your quarterback lines up at wide receiver just to confuse it. And basically what that is, it just takes away practice time from your opponent with your opponent during the week. Just they got to waste reps on those things. Yeah, they got to waste reps on that kind of thing. But, these type of athletes, like you're referring to, Travis, they don't come around very often. And but I think what's obviously best in the long run is they settle in and end up being as best they possibly can at one spot.
I'm hopscotching all over the place here. One of your former players is going into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame in July, and that's a buddy of ours and a guy that's gotten into the media business, Derek Mason. I remember a time where Derek was really trying hard to get y'all to notice. It felt like he was fighting from behind to kind of get on the field. And then when he did, it was something pretty cool. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it takes different players, a different set of timing, to to come on the scene, to get comfortable and with offense or different positions or special teams and all that kind of stuff. Derek was, we drafted him obviously because he was very, very talented, and he had played numerous different positions at the receiver spot in college. Kind of in between, is he a guy that can line up outside? Do you move him into the slot? Do you want to use him as a kind of a possession guy? We know what kind of return skills and ball skills he has, and so it took a while to get Derek settled into the game. But you knew he was going to be very, very productive. You knew he was going to be successful. He was very, very highly motivated, and he wanted the football. When he went on the field, he wanted the ball in his hands, and even to a point where there was I remember, I'm guessing this somewhere in that 03, 04 range in there, where we had Derek lined up at one side, Drew Bennett lined up at the other. Steve was under center. It might have been 2002 when Steve was co-MVP. And I remember coming back in the morning early and watching the game tape before we had our meetings with the players, and going back through it quickly, and Steve's under center. He takes a snap. He sets back. He's got to move around a little bit in the pocket just to see a little bit. Derek's on one side, Drew Bennett's on the other, and Steve slides a little bit to his left, and he throws a rope to Drew Bennett for a touchdown. And I'm watching this, and on the other side of the ball is Derek Mason, and he throws his hands up in the air like, I'm wide open. And everybody else is celebrating. Everybody in this freaking stadium is celebrating because Steve just thrown a touchdown pass to Drew Bennett, and Derek's pitching a hissy fit in the end zone. And that's how competitive he was. That's what he wanted. So that next week in practice, I got him during practice, just randomly stopped it. And I got the offense in the huddle, and I had Steve step out, and I called Derek in the huddle, and I said, Derek, run this play. You know this offense as well as anybody. I want you to play quarterback and run this play. And got him back in there. He took the snap, and he's looking around. He's doing this, and he's running, scrambling around, throws the ball away, and throws his arms up. I go, what's the problem? Because I couldn't see anything.
Oh.
I go, no kidding. I mean,
I love it.
It's like, okay, Derek, so, and then he understood after that. But the point is that he wanted the ball.
Oh,
and one of my favorites was the, championship game in Jacksonville. We're
going to the punt return, aren't we?
We're going to the kickoff return after a safety.
Oh, that's right.
We got the safety.
We
got safety. Yeah. And, well, it was a punt. I mean, it was a punt after a safety. They punted the ball. And, Derek fielded and housed it. And it was one of the biggest plays, I think, in franchise history that really didn't get a lot of attention. But Derek was right there. And then, 2 days or 3 days later, we're practicing, in Atlanta for the Super Bowl, and Derek and Blaine get in a freaking pissing contest and almost get in a fist fight because they're practicing so hard and they're still competing. It's like, will you two calm down? So Derek had that. He had the personality of a pass rushing defense, relentless defensive end that was playing receiver.
Will you stick around for one more segment?
Of course I will.
More with Coach Jeff Fisher in a moment. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
The Nashville Cats are back for another fun season of football. The first home game is Saturday night, March 29th at 5 p.m. against the Albany Firebirds. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
Rock and Roll Nashville isn't just a race. It's the best way to experience this iconic city. We're giving you more music, more fun, and more reasons to run with us. Get immersed in music culture and join us for this legendary tour of Nashville.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back at the Auditorium at 6:30 tonight. The Cats will host the Oregon Lightning. Former Titans coach Jeff Fisher with us in probably as relaxed a setting as we've ever had for one of these.
Yeah, it is. It's great. This game's really cool, and as you know, and I got involved well over a year ago in the indoor game, and just it's football, but I just was curious about it, and then kind of one thing led to another, and now here I am. So, I took over this at the request of the ownership of the teams last year as interim commissioner, and so I'm serving as a full-time commissioner now in this league, and we got something really good going on. This is our inaugural season. We don't look at last year. I mean, last year it is what it was. It was difficult, and we got our way through it. We have some special teams in this league group that we refer to as Arena Football 1, and so this is our inaugural season. We got 8 teams. We're very, very selective at who we're going to bring in. We kept most everybody from last year that we could. We were hoping to have 12, but we just felt like 2026 is better suited for those other teams. And so a lot of fun stuff going on. And here we are. We got a late start here in Nashville again. Fortunately or unfortunately, just because we had some ownership change. But we played last week, and we're really excited about the way things came off here. We got a good streaming partner in Evergreen now, and you can go on the app and find it and watch our game tonight. Better yet, if you're in town, come down and watch us. I mean, it's going to be a great ball game. The Oregon franchise is new. They had, as you can imagine, they had some difficulty getting here because their flights were delayed.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
Half of them showed up late last night. The other half showed up today at 10 o'clock. They're probably still sleeping at the hotel, but they're going to come over. And they got a great head coach in Chuck Jones. And I think it's going to be a solid franchise in our league. So, we didn't play particularly well last week, but we sure played a lot better than we did in the opener. And, we lost by 8 points. And in this game, 8 points is nothing. You can score 8 points in 8 seconds.
Like that.
Yep.
Are you now a Bowling Green Falcon for life?
Yes, I am. I'm in touch with their associate head coach and defensive coordinator on a daily basis. And I have to say I'm probably in touch with their head coach on a daily basis, but because that's the way our relationship has ended up over the last 5 or 6 years with Eddie. But happy about the opportunity that they have. It's a depleted group up there. There's a reason the head coach that takes them to a ball game leaves and goes to the NFL. They're graduated a lot of players, and the NIL and all this. The portal is showing its effect there as well as a lot of places. But they're optimistic, and they're in the middle of spring practice, and so kind of looking forward to them getting through it and see what happens. But and I'll be going to some games. So how it was last year with TSU, I missed it all, but I was at every game with exception of 2. So I'm a big Eddie George and Brandon Fisher fan.
So Brandon told me once that he was never going to move. Were you surprised when he went ahead and did this?
It was very, very difficult for him because he loved what he was doing. He loved the program. He loved the kids. Let's face it, it's not an ideal place to work, but he was so passionate about the players and his defensive players and offensive players for that matter. But just felt like at the end of the day, when he weighed everything, this is probably the best thing for him. And I can see, we all know why anyone's going to say, hey, I'm never going to leave. Anybody's raised in Nashville like he was, and as a coach's son that, got an unrealistic perspective of coaching because I was in one place for so long, and that just doesn't happen anymore. Typically, you're moving every year. And so I think he started that journey, but he loved what his experience here. I don't know what he's going to do with the family. When your kids are going to your alma mater, CPA, and you get great friends in town and everything, it's difficult, but he's going to be successful, make the most of it.
So, Billy, have you heard the Music City Miracle story that involves Brandon?
I don't think I have.
It is one of the classics. I thought I knew everything, including who showed up at the Wild Horse afterwards for the craziest ceremony, for the craziest celebration in history. There was not a sober person in that place.
I bet.
By the time we left at 6:30. Tell the story about Brandon, because that's a classic.
Brandon was helping on the sideline. So back then, there were Polaroids that were taken that were sent down to the field, and they were put in books, and you would give the Polaroid. Now, by that, I mean, there's 3 shots. There's a pre-snap, a snap, and then a post-snap shot of each play, and they go to offense, defense, special teams, and that was his function. He was really good at it. He focused in on that, and he was supporting the coaches on the sideline. Well, we get into, Christie kicks a field goal, and now all of a sudden we're sitting there. Coach Lowry and I, wasn't hard to make the decision, to go to the home run throwback that we referred to. So as the play develops, a lot of things are happening on the play, but if you look at the next time you see it, there's a young man jumping up and down on the 15 and then the 10 and then the 5-yard line, just clearly outside of the coach's box, okay, about 5 yards from the boundary, jumping up and down as Kevin is coasting into the end zone. All right. Well, I didn't know this happened until after. Why George is getting hammered.
No, I was very sober at the Wild Horse.
At the Wild Horse, yeah. I've got quite a group. I have quite a group at my residence. Okay, and wine's pouring and it's going absolutely crazy. We're having a blast at the house. In the top of the corner of the kitchen, I got a little TV, and I happened to walk through the kitchen when Brandon goes, there I am again, look, and he's pointing, and I can see him on the TV. Now, if this thing was replayed once, it was replayed 1,000 times that night, and I can see him jumping up and down and moving down the sideline. And I go, is that you there? And he goes, yeah, that's me. That's me. I go, what are you doing outside of the coaching box? You're supposed to stay in the coaching box. Your ass is outside the coaching box. You're on the 10, the 15. You're too close to the field. I said, do you know what happened if that official had bumped into you? And his lips, he's 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Shame on dad, but it was fun. And I probably had a couple glasses of cab at that point. And I said, the official, he could have penalized you, and then none of this would have happened. And his lips just quivering. I go, no, it's okay. It would have been assessed on the kickoff. It still would have all counted. And yeah, to this day, that's the story. That's what you remember. It was class.
It should have been told at one of the McLean dinners.
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing it for the first time until a couple of years ago. So I've never asked you this. I'm up on the bridge. I've got to get to the Wild Horse. Christie kicks the field goal, and I'm physically not in the stadium for the all-time play. But I hear the roar, and so I come back where I can look at that big old scoreboard and know what had happened. When the play happened, I asked Kevin Dyson this recently. When did you say to yourself, oh, my God, this has got a chance?
Right after he ran by me, and I was thinking to myself and almost said out loud, get out of bounds.
Oh, no. Really?
But, well, I knew it had a chance, depending on the results of the play. When I saw straight ahead, I saw Byron Boston, the side judge, point back towards our end zone when Frank threw the ball to Kevin, which means he ruled a lateral on the field. So I knew it had a chance when I saw him point. And then as Kevin joins his entourage and he's escorted in, I didn't think there's any way that they could overturn it just because it was such a close call. But on top of that, Byron Boston had ruled it a lateral. Now, had he penalized,
you saw the signal
that
he made.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you look as the coaches, you look for those things.
Yeah.
I mean, I was again. Now, what Kevin didn't tell you was, and again, I go through this oftentimes, is that Kevin was the third deep guy on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Derek Mason, who we just talked about, was the guy that should have played Kevin's position, but Derek had a concussion, and the trainer said, once Christie kicked the field goal, and Al and I determined what we're going to do, I'm looking for Mason. I'm going, where's Mason? The trainer says he's got a concussion. He's somewhere in next week, and I go, well, okay, well, who's the backup? And Alan said Anthony Dorsett, and trainer says, sorry, he's cramping. I go, cramping? He's 50 degrees or 40 degrees. And I go, hey, Kevin, Dice, come here. And I called Kevin over. I go, home run throwback. We practice it every Saturday. And Kevin goes, Coach, I really never paid attention.
Oh, no.
So now it's okay. All you got to do is stay behind the ball. Where the ball's going to get to Frank, you stay behind Frank, stay at least 5 yards behind the ball, and stay outside the numbers and wait on the ball. And he looks at me like, and I go, the numbers, Kevin, the 10, 20, 30, 40, the numbers painted on the field. And he kind of, I got you, Coach. Well, 5 yards behind the ball ended up being about 5 inches. Okay. And we called it a home run throwback. And to this day, and I ran into some Buffalo. Trust me, when I run into a Buffalo Bill fan, guess what they bring up? Okay. They call it home run throw forward.
Okay, last thing here. So I have told people that before you all got to town, I was worried that what we were going to run into were a bunch of jerks, a bunch of athletes that are pampered, that you go in the locker room, it's going to be very difficult. And instead, it's completely the opposite. I believe it's the best locker room in the history of locker rooms. It was so much fun covering that team. And all these years later, outside of talking to you about this stuff, picking up the phone and calling Steve Watterson is never a 5-minute conversation. It is so fun to reminisce about this stuff with him. How did you two hit it off to have the relationship you did, where you kind of gave him some free rein to kind of mess with players at times and really have some fun that the general public maybe didn't know about?
Steve and I met briefly in a hallway in Philadelphia. I was going in and he was going out. He took the Houston job when I went to Philly and when I retired and left the Bears. And then we were reunited when I went to Houston as a defensive coordinator. He was a strength and conditioning coach. That's where we started our relationship. And we endured that time, that 94 season, first year of the Cap, 95, my first year as head coach, 96 in Houston. We endured all the difficulty, the move, the kids and the divorce thing and everything, the referendum and everything. We got here. We were close. We were on the same page. I had the utmost respect for Steve because of his knowledge and everything that he knew. He was so far ahead of his time with respect to athletic performance. Steve also knew that I knew that it was what he did was important to me. I wanted to make sure that the guys got the benefit of the doubt with respect to their training. But the most important thing to me, and that Steve realized this and agreed with me, is that the most important thing you can do from an organizational standpoint is that you got to create an environment where players, the entire team, looks forward to coming to work and has fun. And understands the difference between having fun and working hard. And that's what Steve was masterful at, was having fun, joking around, pranking, within reason, everything clean. And there's some great stories there, but also be able to take a player's weakness and turn it into a strength without them knowing it. And he was extraordinary with that. And the stories are endless. But he was a big part of the success that we had because he had his hands on these players for 4 or 5 hours a day. And they respected him and understood that he knew exactly what he was doing. But again, we had I wish Steve could have come with me to St. Louis. It didn't work out. He stayed here, but he would have been the reason that you put speed bumps in the parking lot to slow players down because they're in such a hurry to get in the building, win or lose, to come to work.
The Cortland Finnegan story was amazing.
He told that on the air recently.
Oh, with packing peanuts in the cricket?
Yes, that was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
We had him on it. How long ago was it? We had him on
a month or two ago.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah. No, there's those stories are endless. Yeah, we had so much fun.
Thank you for coming on here. I don't think we, solved any of the world's problems.
No, we didn't.
But we had some fun.
If there's anybody looking for somebody to do, come down to Municipal Auditorium tonight, 6:30 kickoff. We're gonna put the wood to Oregon. So and then you can check us out at NashvilleCats.com. We got some good stuff ahead of us, and especially looking forward to finishing the year and then coming back in 26 with a lot of good stuff ahead. So thank you for the opportunity, George.
It's the other way around. It's Coach Jeff Fisher. We've had a blast with him. After the break, stat of the day, which will probably bomb, and then Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler, the college basketball insiders, as we preview the Final Four. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Happy Friday, Predators fans. The Preds return to action on Sunday night when they'll be back on home ice at Bridgestone Arena facing the Montreal Canadiens. The game is Sunday night at 6. Radio pregame coverage begins at 5.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Looking for slam dunk savings? Visit Electronic Express and score big on LG appliances and electronics. Shop now and save up to $1,000 when you bundle select LG TVs, audio, and appliances. Whether you're upgrading your kitchen, laundry, or entertainment setup, we've got the deal to bring your vision to life. Want free shipping? We've got that. Expert service? We've got that. Up to 36 months free financing? We've got that too. Hurry, shop in store or at electronicexpress.com today.
This is Joe and Q.
Colorado's Board of Regents have approved a 5-year, $54 million contract for head coach Deion Sanders that'll make him one of the highest paid coaches in the country. I mean, he's winning, no doubt about it, but he's also earning it along the way. Like, it's not he's just showing up and saying, hey, I'm here, give me some money. They're turning the program around. When he showed up in Colorado, they had 1 win.
This is Joe and Q.
LeBron is a guy who's active on social. He's falling into this. He probably sees a lot of commentary about his son. And then as a result, you think that's what's happening in the world. People are living their life. People are cool. People aren't going out in the street looking to get into fights. But you go on social, and it seems like the world is just burning. LeBron and Stephen A are fighting over something, and that fight might not be happening.
Joe and Q, weekdays from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Charles, your favorite sport for your whole life is baseball.
Correct.
I'm going to name a baseball movie. We're going to guess if she's seen it or not. Has she seen The Natural? Cece?
No.
I have not seen The Natural.
Of course. Okay, we're 1 for 1.
Have you seen Bull Durham?
I'm going to say no.
No.
I have not.
Major League, has she seen it?
Yes.
I'm going to say no as well.
Yes, show some respect.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I'm giving Cece a ride in a couple of weeks to the airports.
I'm nervous about it.
We realize
because he drives slow enough to drive Miss Daisy. Like when you're driving in New York City and there's that person that's doing 40 miles an hour in the far left lane that's not passing anyone, that's Evan Cohen, y'all.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We got the college basketball insiders coming right up. First stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers as we broadcast live from Municipal Auditorium ahead of tonight's Nashville Cats matchup against the Oregon Lightning, 6:30 kickoff. You can find Apple Collision Centers in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com.
In a minute, we need to get word back to the station to call Ron Bargatze. That's my fault.
Okay.
By the way, how good was Jeff Fisher?
That was awesome.
Kind of shooting the bull and, couldn't do that with him when he was the Titans coach because clearly he had other things to do and he couldn't really tell me the stuff he can tell me now. It's a blast to talk to him.
Yeah, that's as loose as I've seen him.
Love doing that.
All right, we got a baseball stat of the day today. At 41 years old, Charlie Morton recorded 10 strikeouts yesterday, becoming the oldest MLB pitcher with a 10 strikeout outing since whom?
Okay, so there's some obvious possibilities. If you're going way, way back, it would be Nolan Ryan, who never showed any level of age. Justin Verlander has probably done it. And that's where I'm going to go is Justin Verlander.
Well, you are incorrect.
Rich
it is
Hill.
Rich Hill.
And ironically, Rich Hill's is totally different because most of his strikeouts came on that looping curveball.
Yeah, that 70-mile-an-hour curve.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, so I get another one wrong. Kelly wouldn't have gotten it either. He wouldn't have known Rich Hill from
Have you gotten one this week?
I don't think so. That's embarrassing.
It is.
I should be ashamed, but I'm not. So now we are officially into the 4:00 hour. Make sure that they know to call Coach Bargatze. And as soon as we get him on, we'll bring both of them up. But Lee Fowler is there and ready to go. So you were listening in on the interview with Jeff Fisher, weren't you?
I was. It was interesting. I really respect him and think he's a good guy.
He's got some great stories. So I told him during the break that you were my color announcer at Memphis State and that you got me the interview that inflicted so much pain on so many people.
Well, more on you than anybody else, George, but no, it was great.
You know why? You know why I knew I had the job? Because as you know, your former boss, Charlie Cavanero, was a huge baseball fan.
He definitely was. And you know, he was in the newspaper business before he got into athletic administration. So he loved all sports.
We had a banquet in late September, the night before the Alabama game. And he comes up to me and he goes, "This thing better be over by 8:45 or you might not be the announcer tomorrow." Well, I knew where it was going. He was a huge Cardinal fan, and they were playing the Giants out on the West Coast in the playoffs. And it was like, I don't know, game 3 of a really good series. And I looked at him and I said, "It's about the Cardinals, isn't it?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, and you know it. So have this thing done by then."
That's right.
Okay, I'm told Coach B's with us by phone. Coach B, how are you?
Good afternoon. How are you guys?
I'm good. Hope you are.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask this to you, Coach B, before I go to Lee on it. How many Final Fours have you attended?
Not too many since I've been out of coaching, because I really enjoy watching it on TV. And it can be, unless you have all the keys to the kingdom, like Lee Fowler, it's not quite as good an experience.
Okay, let me try it this way, and then I'll ask Lee the same thing. As somebody who has gotten to attend Final Fours, what was your best moment? What's the one that would stick out above all of them? Coach B, that would be you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking Lee the next question. Well, I've been to 12. I've been to 12, and I don't know. I think it was 80. Was it 83 when NC State took the missed shot and put it in the basket for the win?
You were there at the pit in Albuquerque.
Yes, and that was all the teams had red colors on.
Would I be right that I remember that NC State was a 9.5, 10-point underdog? In the coaching world, did anybody think they could win that game?
Well, I don't know. In the gambling world, I think that there were not too many who did. I think a lot of coaches know when you get that far and if you reach that point, it's more up for grabs.
Okay, Lee, let me turn it on you because you've had a perspective that virtually nobody gets, not only being part of the selection committee, but ultimately being the chairman. What's your greatest Final Four moment of, I don't know, what, 25 of these you've probably been to?
Well, yeah, I've been to 42, but
42?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And actually, the 83-84 one, or 82-83, was one just like Ronnie was my favorite because nobody thought that would. First of all, they didn't think they'd be playing in that game, and everybody thought the semifinal game was really for the championship, and that happens a lot of years where the two best teams have played before the championship game and kind of goes flat. And back then you didn't have a clock, you didn't have 3 points, so you could hold the ball and not shoot, and that also gave it a better chance for somebody to upset somebody. So yeah, that was the most memorable because it was one of my early ones I went to.
Okay, let me ask both of y'all some thoughts on one that happened 2 years later. at Rupp Arena. And Lee, your Memphis State team had lost on Saturday. I don't remember a lot of people thinking Villanova could beat Georgetown, which just was an absolute powerhouse. Give me some thoughts on what you remember of that night, which is one of the great upsets in NCAA title history.
Yeah, that was, I actually wasn't at the game after we lost. I went to East Tennessee to interview for the head coaching job, but I was very much, I felt like we could beat Georgetown. Villanova played a matchup zone, and they were kind of like the world's greatest at it, and we struggled shooting the ball from time to time. So we had, you miss the first one, you can't make the one forever. So we were really tight, and I was just a little bit shocked that they held it quite as much as they did and took as few shots as they did. They didn't do that against us. Like we lost by 4 in the semifinal game, but they had played Georgetown 2 or 3 times that year and hadn't beaten them. So he was going to pull out all the stops to try to win that game.
Coach B, were you at Rupp Arena that night?
I was not at Rupp Arena that night, but I remember it well.
So let me try this one on both of you, and then we'll get a little bit of the stuff about the actual matchups. In these domes that seat all these people, you hear this thing about depth perception. Is it a real issue?
About how the lighting is set up, because in large arenas, it makes a lot of difference if you have concentrated lighting over the playing court. Whereas if you're playing football in there or another sport, it's a different type of lighting. So I don't think the depth perception is near as bad as long as you have good what I'd call basket-to-basket lighting.
I'd say,
I've never heard that before.
I'd say the same thing. We used to push the basketball court, turn it sideways and push it up again into the end zone to use the seating in the end zone. Then we'd build a bunch of seats down the field, so to speak, and you had a little more depth perception problem there. Now, George, when you walk into arena like in Alamo Dome tomorrow afternoon, you feel like you're in an arena because there's seats at the end zone, go all the way to where football is sitting, and then they go up. And so it looks, when you walk in the building, it's kind of shocked to think there's 75, 80,000 people, but the basketball court is in the middle of it and seats going all the way from the bottom up. And so it's they've done a lot better job of not making it feel so vast. Now, a lot of people are so far away, they're watching on a 300-foot video screen because it's like watching on a big TV. So then you get replays up there. So but we did a lot of research when I was on the committee and since then, and they've said they've never had a person gripe about the sight line. And now when you buy a ticket, it tells you what your sight line is and how far away you are. So I think it's more about the experience of being there than it is whether it's a great seat or not. And people that have never been want to go once. It's a one of those things that's a bucket list item, and especially if you can go and care about one of the teams.
Coach B, give me some thoughts there.
Well, I just don't like. I'm so used to going to any team I cheer for or I'm pulling for. I want to sit as close to the floor as possible and have a feel for it. I do not like to sit, even at Vanderbilt, I don't like sitting up in the third balconies at all. Second balconies can be pretty good, particularly on the sides. I just think, to me, being a part of the game is being where you can really almost, I don't want to say smell the sweat, but I want to be as close to the playing floor as possible. And after years of coaching at Vandy and watching from the end zones, now I find myself liking that perspective more than a sideline.
Lee, you alluded to the fact that oftentimes in the way the matchups go, that the two best teams might end up playing each other in the semifinal, and that neutralizes 2 days later who ultimately wins the national title. Do you think that's a possibility here where Duke and Houston may well be the two best teams? They're likely to have a physical war, and the SEC team that survives tomorrow has a better shot to win the title?
It could happen. I actually look at, I know how the committee did it, but I've got Houston, the fourth best team there. I think Duke, number one, Florida, and then Auburn, and then Houston. So to me, that it looks to me on what I would think of those teams that it is one playing 4 and 2 playing 3. So that's just my opinion, of course, and other people would feel differently. But they're all great teams. They're all are it's so wonderful. It's never happened except in 08 when this all the ones got to San Antonio the last time, and those are the only 2 times it's ever happened, George. So it's quite a special tournament to see all of them get there, and all of them are very good teams.
Okay, I'll toss that at Coach B. Do you think the best 2 teams are Duke and Houston?
I think Duke is the best team. I think the championship game could be the Duke-Houston game on tomorrow. So for sure, I like Houston better than Lee does, and I think it's going to be I'm taking the under in that first game, and I think it's going to be a war.
The under, by the way, Billy, what is it, like in the 120s?
I think so, yeah. It's not very high.
It's not a lot.
No.
Okay. After the break, guys, be just as rough on Billy as you would be on me, because he's going to take over front and center stage. College basketball insiders, Ron Bargatze, Lee Fowler, or is it Lee Fowler and Ron Bargatze? Either way, they're both coming back on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. To set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hey, it's Jake Lyman. The Nashville Cats are back inside Municipal Auditorium on Friday night taking on the Oregon Lightning. I'll have your call alongside Big Joe Dubin. Pregame at 6, kickoff at 6:30.
93.3 FM. Totally hits. Totally Nashville.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
And we're back. Talking a little Final Four with Lee Fowler and Ron Bargatze here, broadcasting live at Municipal Auditorium ahead of tonight's Nashville Cats and Oregon Lightning showdown. Lee, I'll start with you here on these matchups. With Florida and Auburn, obviously Florida went into Neville Arena and rolled over Auburn. I think that surprised a lot of people. The second time around in a Final Four setting, does Auburn have an advantage and maybe even a mental motivation advantage to say, hey, that last time you beat us, that was, that's not who we are?
Well, I'm sure that's what Bruce Pearl's selling them on, that they beat us at our place. We owe them something. You do anything you can to motivate your guys. I think Florida's a better overall team. I think that they're a team that can maybe play with Duke. They're not quite as athletic as Duke is, but so I think either team can win. I think a lot of people are picking Auburn to win that game, and so I just think Florida's a better all-around team. And Florida's had a couple of already games that are suspect, and I think they'll play well, shoot well, and they'll make their free throws tonight, which they'll ink out a 1 or 2 point game.
Ronnie, what do you see in this matchup?
I thought Auburn played better than anyone else down the stretch, and I'm going with Auburn. And Broom has been banged up a little bit. We don't know if he's going to be at full speed or not, but I'll be really surprised. Florida does not beat Auburn.
Lee, he just mentioned Broom there, and obviously he went down, and a lot of people thought he was going to be done. I mean, that he said personally that I'm done, and obviously he comes back, hits a three. As a coach, if you're Bruce Pearl, I know it's a Final Four game, but there's also could be another game. If Auburn, obviously you got to win the first one, and we don't know how Janai's feeling. He practiced yesterday, but as a coach, how do you approach that with your best player that you probably need to have to beat Florida?
I think you have to play today to win today, and if you can't go tomorrow, that's okay. You can't. It's hard to hold one of the two best players in the country out of the game. So I'd be shocked if he's held out. Now he may be limited a little bit because that elbow of his, he does a lot with that right elbow, and so it's according to how sore it is, whether he can extend it at all or whether they've got it taped up. But he's still a pretty good player, but it could affect him a little bit on this shot or that shot around the bucket. So it'll be interesting early to see what kind of how he's playing and whether it looks like it's going to affect the game or not.
Coach B, I asked this yesterday to Kerry Keating. And I talked about Walter Clayton Jr., how he just keeps hitting big shot after big shot for Florida. Can they keep relying on him late in games? It feels like the last 2-3 minutes of games, it's the Walter Clayton show. He ends up pulling Florida, out of the depths of potentially losing the game. Is that a recipe to beat Auburn, or do you need a more balanced approach, you think?
I like Florida's balance a lot. I think all of their perimeter players can make shots. I think they're good in transition, and plus their depth in center or in the post players, their depth has really improved late in the season, and that's why I think they're the best, most balanced team. I still think Duke is the best team in the Final Four. But I like Florida and to play Duke in the finals, but I think Duke's going to have to really get down and dirty to beat Houston.
Yeah, let's get into that matchup. Lee, we saw what Houston did to Tennessee, and they played in Indianapolis in a similar type setting, and they played. They're playing on a quicker, kind of a quicker turnaround time too, which I've heard some people say could be an advantage for Houston to kind of turn around a little quicker and keep that momentum going. What kind of a shot? I know both y'all and seemingly everybody likes Duke, but what kind of a shot do you give Houston? And do they match up with Duke better than anybody that they've seen? Obviously, they held off Arizona and then beat Alabama, but is Houston built to potentially take down Duke?
I think Houston's built to take down anyone. It's about their scoring and whether the Duke can. Duke's defense is so good. We all look at their offense, but it's according to whether Houston can score throughout the game on Duke, because I think Duke's very good defensively, but it's going to be a war. There's going to be a war Duke better be ready for, because Houston's going to do everything possible to disrupt Duke in their offense, and that includes holding, grabbing, and just being competitive, and that's what his teams do. So I think it'll be a war. It's kind of I don't think they've won every game. I think Duke's won every game by 15 or more, and the line's 5 or something. So they're expecting it to be that way also, and I think it will be. And I just worry about Houston's ability to make free throws late if the wrong guy gets fouled. So winning is a long shot, I think, but they'll know they've been in a heck of a contest playing at Houston.
Coach B, if you're Houston and Kelvin Sampson, what's your game plan? I mean, it sometimes watching this Duke team, it feels like they're impossible to beat.
Well, Duke plays their game probably as well as anyone in terms of they're pretty consistent, their approach to games. I think they do make other teams adjust more to them, and I think the Duke balance is awfully good. So, they also do a wonderful job of getting the ball up to the big guy for the lob passes, and they got an unbelievably good 1-2 punch. 2 pros for sure.
All right, we're going to get the national title picks. Now, I'll start with you. Who wins tomorrow, and then who wins on Monday night in San Antonio?
And unfortunately, I'd like to pick somebody else, but I've got Florida in my ESPN pick. So I've got Florida winning it. I think if I got to pick over, I might pick Duke, but I've got Florida winning it all.
Coach?
Well, I like Florida, and of course I like the SEC team, but I've got Duke beating Florida in the finals.
All right, a couple of notes locally. Jacoby Gillespie, a Belmont player who well. I think we all know well, going back to his Belmont days, Coach B. He played well at Maryland this year. Obviously, with Coach Willard leaving for Villanova, he thought there was a chance he lands there. He committed to Tennessee today. Coach B, what do you think about his potential role with Tennessee? I know there's a shot that Ziegler could still come back, but you got to think that's a really good pickup for the Vols.
Well, that's a great pickup for them. He was a great football player in high school out of Greenville, Tennessee High School up in East Tennessee, and he's also a great point guard. I've seen many games, and he just has a great nose for the ball. He really can get where he wants to go on the dribble, and he does a good job of delivering and scoring. I think he's going to be a real favorite for all the Big Orange fans.
I want to go to Vandy now, and quietly, guys, they've got to really reset their roster once again. You're really looking at Tyler Nickel, Tyler Tanner, and Devin McLaughlin as the core that's coming back next year. And Lee, I know you watched a lot of Vandy this year. Jason Edwards no longer there. He's headed to Providence now. And then Jalen Carey is also in the portal. You saw MJ Collins hit the portal. Do you think that's more of a stylistic way of Byington to rebuild here? Now he can get maybe a little bit more picky. He's got a tournament resume. He can say that he took his team to the tournament. You think this is a different type of offseason approach now that, you've got a tournament berth under your belt if you're Coach Byington?
Well, he's got 4 years in a row? Didn't he go 3 years at James Madison or?
Well, he went 1 year. He went last year to James Madison. So his second year.
He's taking two programs. So that would be what I would be selling. I mean, I hate what's going on in college basketball, as you know, and football too. The transfer is just crazy. I was at Home Depot this morning with my Vanderbilt basketball shirt on, T-shirt, and some guy came up to me, and I thought he was going to ask me what the best plants were to buy, but he said, I said, we had a great year this year, but I hate this transfer thing. He said, you pick out a guy you like and you really think he's a good person and you get behind him and then he's up and gone.
Yeah.
I said, well, Byington has shown us he can coach, but, putting together a team every year of different players from different places is not the recipe to be successful. But maybe it is. Maybe in today's world, it is the way to be successful, to try to improve your positions. But you still got to coach them and get them all to play together and that sort of thing. So I think that he'll do a good job. I think he'll get some good players because it's in the SEC. They got to go to the tournament. All those things are very important to a guy that's really coming to play 1 year in this day and time, not to get a degree, not to be there and, start working in Nashville after he finishes playing. It's all about what can I do to be seen next year to either go somewhere else or go pro.
Coach B, it's going to be a different looking black and gold team next year.
Well, they did a great job of putting together a team very late last year, and Coach Byington does a really, really good job of coaching them up and, building cohesion with people that really never have played with each other. And I think he'll do it again. Regardless who leaves and goes, it's all really about the NIL fitting the school that who can get them there. And so I heard from a couple of good sources that the Edwards price tag was a little high for Vanderbilt's blood, as they're just now been able to build their NIL war chest up, and that didn't feel like Edwards was the guy to get the percentage he wanted.
Guys, Texas A&M all of a sudden is looking for a head coach. Buzz Williams replaces Kevin Willard at Maryland, and you got to imagine he'll do a solid job there. But with Buzz leaving, where's A&M go now from here? I mean, Lee, it's probably not the best time to be looking for a coach. Most guys are out there looking for portal guys. Yep,
they really are. But A&M, as Ronnie's talked before, Texas and Texas A&M, they can get the NIL money. So it's a good place to go if you're a good recruiter or have guys that recruit for you, because they have the money and they can, get 8 or 9 guys together to hopefully have a good team. And of course, whoever does, he'll probably do it different than Buzz. Buzz is more of a, like Kelvin Sampson. He's tough, play defense, really get after the boards. And I'm sure that probably limits you with NIL because they're, most guys are scorers and want want to score a lot of points and that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting who they get. I know the Ole Miss coach has said that he's staying, but it'll be interesting to see the final person that takes that job.
Coach B, I've heard that Bucky McMillan has some buzz potentially to replace Buzz in Aggie Land.
I haven't heard that, but it could certainly be the case. I can't keep up with players or coaches or anything. There's such a movement mentality going on. So who knows? I'm saying I just like to see these guys get their rosters set as quickly as they can, so they can start preparing their teams for next year.
All right, last thing from me, we saw Cooper Flagg win the AP National Player of the Year, and he's only the fourth freshman to win the award. You had Anthony Davis. You also had a little bit further back Kevin Durant in 2007 at Texas, and then Zion Williamson, of course, at Duke. And speaking of Duke, Lee, obviously they're in the Final Four, but is Cooper Flagg, the best freshman, and maybe even, is he one of the best players to come through Duke?
I would say that he'd be top 1 or 2 or 3. What a great player. And of course, most of those other guys played more than 1 year at Duke because you had to. But he's a great player. He keeps surprising me. I keep thinking that somebody's going to get after him, but he's got all the game: left hand, right hand, jump shot, fall away, dunk. He does it all, and he does it so naturally. It'll be interesting to what Houston tries to do to slow him down, and they'll probably just play straight up and just get after him. But it's going to be interesting to see if they can slow him down a little bit, because if they can't, I'm not sure anybody can.
Coach B, he's obviously really skilled, but everybody talks about his mental approach to the game. And he doesn't get fazed by anything. And I think I heard he could still be in high school right now.
Yeah, I think he's got that late birthday, but he sure doesn't play like it. And, he reminds me a whole lot of Lee Fowler coming out of Columbia Central High School back in 69, 70. Maybe the talent level is just a tad different, but that's the way Lee played at that time.
I have to shake my head on that one, but I appreciate Ronnie saying that. And I hate that he's not on camera today, because I shaved and got all pretty, because he told me I looked old with a beard and stuff. And so I was really trying to straighten up here before this season's over. But Ronnie, I'm telling you, he's the best I've seen.
He is, in terms of how he plays the game, he plays the game just like he's out playing a pickup game. He's not phased. He's not. He gives his body up, goes to the boards hard, and he's just a guy, a great leader on the court. And so, he is the reason. He's got a good cast around him at Duke, but he makes them, to me, slightly better than the other teams.
Well, guys, appreciate it. Enjoy the games tomorrow. Obviously, those all four those teams are phenomenal. Last time you had all 4 1 seeds was 2008, and so we should have some great games, and then set up a great game on Monday night. But Coach B, I appreciate it, and Lee, appreciate y'all for taking the time.
All right, thank you.
All right, Lee, I can't wait to see you.
That's the Insiders, Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler, talking Final Four right here with a big game tonight right here at Municipal Auditorium, Nashville Cats and the Oregon Lightning. Coming up, we're going to take your phone calls. Phone lines are open, 615-553-0933. Again, the number 615-553-0933. The chat room is open as well. You can chime in, fire away comments or questions. We'll get George back in the fold, and we'll fire away. We'll get some more talk going. If you want to talk Final Four, talk whatever you'd like, right here on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, Keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
The Nashville Cats are back for another fun season of football. The first home game is Saturday night, March 29th at 5 p.m. against the Albany Firebirds. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
Rock and Roll Nashville isn't just a race. It's the best way to experience this iconic city. We're giving you more music, more fun, and more reasons to run with us. Get immersed in music culture and join us for this legendary tour of Nashville.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Okay, for the record, while Billy was doing his thing, I went up a couple of rows and shot the bull with the legendary Eli Gold. It is so good anytime he's around. Great stories, great announcer.
Yeah.
So before we go to the phones, Lee, what grade would you give Billy for his segment?
Lee is no longer on.
Lee's gone?
Yeah, Lee's gone.
Really? You dismissed them?
I dismissed both of them.
Did you really?
I did.
Well, that's not very nice.
Well, I had to do it.
Oh, I don't think so. Okay, let's go to Jeff in Murfreesboro. Jeff, how you doing today?
All right, George, how are you?
I'm good.
I just want to congratulate Chattanooga on championship last night, and Miller played a great game first round.
Man, what about that?
Yeah.
Just wasn't meant to be watching some of it last night, and T.O. was in the crowd last night, so when you famous alumni there, you got to win for him. So got to win for him. So he was there last night. I don't know if Gerald Wilkins was there, but he was. So T.O. was kind of cheering his box on last night. So big win for them. I mean, good for them to win a championship. So I have no problem.
I watched it wire to wire. That's a great moment for that school.
Yeah, well, they've had a good tradition all the way back to Mac McCarthy, and they've had some really great players over the years. So it's a good win for them. But as far as the Final Four goes, George, I mean, I had Houston in the Final Four. That's the only team left that I've got still Still, if you want to talk about playing, but I had Houston losing in the championship game. I hope they win it because they've had a really good basketball tradition. Never have won anything. They probably the best team that ever win it in '83. And nobody probably didn't mention this, but with Auburn and Florida, we've got Bruce the Cheater and the sexual predator of Todd Golden. So we think about that, Georgia, the Title IX, never could find anything. I just kind of swept under the rug. You think that was, if he'd been anywhere else, he'd have been fired, true?
Well, given that I don't really, you're probably going to think it's a cop-out, but I don't really know enough about whatever evidence they either had or didn't have to tell you anything.
Well, they probably didn't have. If he'd been in Kentucky or Carolina, they'd run him out on the rails. Or the national media would have run his butt until they'd run him out. I guarantee if he'd been some big-time school. See, Florida, he can do it over there. They ain't worried about basketball. They ain't worried about it over there. If it was Kentucky or Carolina or Duke, somewhere and done this. It was something about that Title IX and harassment and all this stuff. They probably investigated about 6-8 hours and put it on the road. What they did over there, I could say. But everybody knows if he'd been at a real basketball school, he'd have been run off, or they'd have kept on until they run him off. The national media would have, the ESPNs and everybody else would have been all over him. Nobody discussed it. They just kind of, it'd be all right. It's supposed to be all right. It's Florida. It's all right. And we all know about Bruce Pearl's record. Bruce the Cheater. He cheated when he was in Iowa. So we all know about his deal, Tennessee and everything else. When you have a crew over at your house and your dad comes over and you tell the father, don't tell the NCAA that your son's here. Just lie to the NCAA for it. He wasn't here. When you do that, when you've got to show cause against you, that proves you cheated. Period. And George, you can talk about Calipari all you want to. He cheated, whatever it is. There's no show cause against him. There's no proof he cheated. None. Bargatze Lee and Derrick Rose did themselves. Okay, and I wonder why there was a tie for the National Coach of the Year, Pearl and Pitino. What do you think about that, George?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. If they had the same number of votes,
I don't know why I did. I'd have voted Pitino before I voted Pearl. Anyway, Pearl cheats anyway. So we're going to find out what kind of team he's got, though. As I told somebody weeks ago, he's got players. They got players, but ain't got no coach. And we found out a few years ago when Virginia beat them on that three-point shot was a foul. We're going to find out Saturday what they got. But for Florida's already beat them already. We're going to find out it's Bruce the Cheater versus Sexual Predator. So y'all have a good Final Four. Y'all see y'all.
Thanks, Jeff.
So, in trying to think through all the stuff he put out there.
Well, the Todd Golden stuff. Look, I'm not saying I know what Florida did or what they didn't do to investigate it, but I mean, look at his team and look at nothing's happened, nothing has come out since. So, I don't know.
Well. Yeah, that's the part of it that if indeed Florida whitewashed it, and I don't know whether they did or not, but you would assume that somebody, given how much media there is, even in a school like Florida, where I don't think basketball is as important as maybe it should be, given the national titles they've won, you would think that something would have played out. Something would have come out by now if it was gonna. Anyway, Tony in Nolensville, welcome into the show.
Hello, George. Hello, Billy. And let me just put my little touch on this, on what Jeff was talking about and all this crap. In this day and age of college sports, everything's cheating. All of them are cheating. All of them are playing it by the book. Everything is just, I really don't care no more. I'm so turned off to some college athletics. I'm just almost, I don't want to say done with it, but when I started hearing people talking about they're cheating, they're doing this, no, everybody's doing it all. All of them are doing it. That's my take on that. Guys, I was just thinking this afternoon. Well, first of all, George, I want to throw out there the Cubbies today knocked the Padres off the undefeated team. So The Cubs had a good home opener, taking care of the Padres. I hope your Braves get to win in a little bit. They're too good of a team that to be sitting there where they are right now. So
it's going to be real interesting to see where they're headed because, they shouldn't be 0-7. They've got an everyday lineup that ought to be hitting. But I do think they have allowed themselves to be one starting pitcher short, one really good reliever short. And as you look right now at their outfield, they are at least one good outfielder short. That's a bad combination.
Yeah, I was thinking this. I thought of this last night a little bit, watching the Preds a little bit, and just thinking of. Do y'all realize the similarities that go on between the Preds and the Titans? This was what I was thinking just last night. Here they are. The Preds are almost on the verge of being the last place team in the NHL, which means they will get the number one draft pick, along with the Titans getting the number one draft pick here at the same time. Just a few years ago, we had both of them needing a general manager at the same time. And then we've also got them where they both of them have get to the playoff often, but rarely do they ever advance. And I mean, it seems like they've got a mirror image of each other sometimes. However, the Preds are way further in advance in having happier fans throughout the year, how they entertain their fans, what the fan experience is, way more than the Titans do. So I'm going to hang up, let y'all talk about that. I know, George, Billy, I'm not sure about you, but I know, George, you have season tickets to both, and just see what y'all's take was on that. But I'll let you go. Have a good, safe weekend, guys. Talk to you.
So let's talk about the Preds for a second, because I think it's now 10 of the last 12 they've lost. They're up 1-0 very late in the second period in Dallas and lose 5-1, which is, to me, hard to do. When the season is over and they're likely to have some sort of a end of the season press conference, Barry Trotz is going to get pressed on what is the decision about Andrew Burnett. And the likelihood is that he's going to say, I'm keeping Andrew Burnett because firing him is the easy scapegoat for the fact that this is an organizational issue. He's probably going to take some of it on himself and say, hey, I screwed some things up. I've got to be better, blah, blah, blah. But I agree with the lady that we had on, Victoria, help me with her last name, Matiosh, that if they bring Andrew Burnett back, that he is on an incredibly short leash, and that in October of 2025, this team better look like light years better than it looks now. Because if it looks anything like this, they can't have another season like this. They can't be out of contention at Thanksgiving.
Right. Obviously, you got to win more games, but the biggest thing, just the way they look, you're good. You go to a game, you look at them on the ice, they look enthused, happy to be there, energized. You haven't really seen a ton of that from the Preds this season. So, to me, it's a lot of, okay, they may not win tonight, but do they lose 5-4 in overtime instead of, what was it? What'd you say? They gave up 8 goals the other night? I mean,
to Columbus.
I mean,
8 goals to Columbus is disgraceful.
Yeah, so I think, to me, that's one of the bigger differences that has to happen. Maybe even more importantly than the win-loss column.
After the break, we will have Plaster Bet of the Day. I got 4 picks. The 2 final 4 games and the 2 games in the tournament that Fox has put together. We're going to get some winners next on 94.9 The Fan.
this is Andrew Allegretta, voice of Vanderbilt baseball. Hope you can join us this weekend as the Vandy boys hit the road, head to Gainesville. Vanderbilt versus Florida. All 3 games on 102.5 The Game.
Vanderbilt Athletics lives here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal comes from Bad Axe Throwing Nashville, downtown's largest axe throwing venue and your go-to spot for food, fun, and vibes. Enjoy panoramic views of the city, a killer soundtrack, craft cocktails from the full bar, and a Northwoods-inspired menu with a southern twist. Whether you're throwing axes or just throwing back drinks, Bad Axe has something for everyone. This week, score half off a $50 gift card, only while supplies last. Head to 949thefan.com/deals and grab yours now.
Hey there, are you seeking relief? Perhaps you would just like to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? I'm serious. You can have legal THC products shipped to the comfort of your home. Yup, Comfort in Cannabis is only one website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. Green Trees with a Z.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Friday, broadcasting live from Municipal Auditorium ahead of tonight's Nashville Cats and Oregon Lightning showdown. 6:30 kickoff. Before we wrap it up, Bet of the Day brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We take a look first at what happened last night. And George, you got
himself a win.
Got
How
a
about
win
that?
with the Mocs.
Miracles do happen. That was a great college game.
Yeah.
Really happy for UT Chattanooga. That's
and Chattanooga had more people up there than definitely Irvine did, but more people than they had the prior night. So I guess they took advantage of the $5 tickets.
Well, now think about the travel from California, Irvine.
But
I mean,
it's not saying much having more than them, but it was a better environment than I expected.
Yeah, because they didn't have a lot of people in the building.
No.
Okay, so let's get to the big stuff. Let's start with the one that will get the most national attention. I'm going Houston Cougars because I think I don't know that they're going to win, but I do think Houston's going to cover. I think they're really good. Now, what could stop that is a past problem at Houston, which is going 6-7 minutes without a field goal and not hitting the broadside of a barn. That's been kind of their tradition until this year.
Yep.
And against Tennessee, their 3-point shooting was really good. I think they caused Cooper Flagg more trouble than anybody else has because whoever guards him will be really athletic. And maybe for the first time, he'll run up on somebody athletically who is either his equal or maybe even his superior. I'm going Cougs.
I don't hate it.
Okay, the other game, I'm taking Auburn, and you're sitting there going, why? I think Auburn found something last week. I've kind of used this thing that I think they've found the joy and the excitement that they had earlier in the year. Now they're no longer number one by a mile. A lot of people don't trust them. I think they're pretty good. This is going to be a heck of a game. War Eagle.
I like it.
Okay, the 2 games out in Vegas. I'm taking Boise State. I just think they're a better team than Nebraska. Again, the big kid, Tyson Degenhart, will be the difference in this game. Take Boise. The other one is Villanova. I'm just not a believer in UCF, although I got to say this. They're starting to make me look stupid because look where they are. They're in the finals of that tournament.
The Crown?
Yeah. So the winner, they'll play on Sunday for the title. The winning school gets $300,000.
Wow.
If I'd known that, we'd have taken one of our teams at the Green Hills Y, 4-on-4 run and shooting. We'd have signed up for the old Crown. Billy, we are done for today.
Yep. Should be fun tonight.
Yeah. Hopefully some folks will be here. The Oregon Lightning are in town.
Orange, wearing orange?
Yeah, they look like what they look like is Oregon State.
They do.
To be perfectly honest. Anyway, for Billy Derrick and even for Kelly Holcomb, who has the day off, this is George Plaster. We want you back safe and sound Monday. Pay very close attention to the weather because it could get really hairy again tomorrow night. This is 94.9 The Fan.